Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. Uh, Adolph will not be with us this morning, but you have Eastside Alan Lango, Deadline Detroit, for sometimes report for the Washington Post, but used to work for the Washington Post. We also have our downriver brother, Mr. Jim Nardoni, the former chief of police for the Trenton Police Department. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning to all our friends out there today,
Yep.
and you and Alan too.
And good morning to all of our friends that are joining us on this Saturday morning, this cold Saturday morning, on Detroit in Black and White. Listen, you already know what we want you to do. Listen, listen, listen. We want you to join, wait a minute, like, subscribe, share. To subscribe is free. Tell all your friends about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. You can catch us on all social media platforms. You can also join us in the comment section. And when you join us in the comment section, we do our best to give a shout out. Also, you can use your phone. You can use the camera on your phone, like when you go to the restaurant, use the menu, take that camera, put it on that QR code, and guess what? You can come on into the room. Good morning, Duela Boyce, and good morning. Who is that? Stephanie? Is that Stephanie? I can't put my glasses on. I was trying to look cute this morning. Yep, that's Stephanie Jackson. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So first we're going to start with also there's go Kathy as well. Hey Kathy, what's up? So, oh, and I didn't even introduce myself. For all of you that don't know who I am Vanessa Moss, uh, attorney, sometimes a political consultant, sometimes, and also a candidate for the Wayne County Probate Court. Yay!
How's
Okay.
that, how's that going?
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you asked. I'm glad that you asked. It is going. I'm collecting signatures. And for all those who don't know, and for those who do know, I'm going to remind you the last time that I ran for judge, it was for 36th District Court. And I didn't even make the ballot because of a technicality. It wasn't my signatures. It wasn't that I missed anything. What happened was initially I was running for an incumbent seat. The Secretary of State did not have all the seats that was listed. The incumbent filed in the wrong, he filed his intent, his affidavit to run in the wrong area. Therefore, it didn't look like there was a seat open. And only those people who work for the court knew. So three of the people that ran, they knew what was going on because they actually worked for the court. So when I found out that there was an opening, I changed and said, hey, I won't run against an incumbent. I will run against I will run in a non-incumbent seat. So I had collected about over 4,000 signatures at that point, where the rules allow for you to use those. If a seat becomes open or available, you could use those petitions that you collected for a incumbent seat for a non-incumbent seat. So I did that. So I had over 8,000 signatures. The problem was on the heading of my sheets that was for the for the incumbent seat, I was supposed to cross that out and put non-incumbent. I didn't catch that. It was my bad. But it was a very small technicality. There was somebody who, some people call him a purist. You could call him whatever you want. I've said that he was a hired hand, and I'll believe that to the day I die, and I don't have to tell people why I believe that. But listen, it was my bad. I didn't catch the technicality, so I did not get on the ballot. But I felt like because of what I knew was going on in the background, I felt like, listen, nobody's going to bully me. Don't nobody want to hire an attorney that can easily be bullied. Don't nobody. People want a fighter. People like a fighter. So I continued to run. And the benefit that I got was this. One, I kept my name out there, okay? And people, remember the name. Two, I learned a lesson. We're supposed to learn something every day. I know every time I come on this show, I learn something from Alan. I learned something from Jim. I learned something from our viewers every week at Adolph. There's a wealth of information out there. So I don't take it as an L. I don't take it as a loss. I take it as a learning experience. So getting to your question, as lawyers, we always got to set it up. You know that. So now I am collecting signatures. I've been going to senior citizens or seasoned citizens places, and I've been talking, and people remember me. They were like, Vanessa, we're so sorry you didn't make it. You're going to make it this time. So I am doing that, but it's very difficult. It's more difficult this time around because there's so much voter apathy, right? People are like, I don't believe in politics. Two, I work full time. I took a job as a public defender. So I'm representing people who are facing criminal charges. And so I've always worked every day, but when I was in my private practice, I could sort of manipulate my schedule. It's very difficult going to court for, like yesterday, I had 3 cases. I had 3 cases yesterday, and they were all preliminary examinations. So I had to do that, and then I had to run out, and then you still got to do your other things. So is it going? It is going. I'm going to tell you the other lesson I learned. Every petition that I get back, I go over that heading I'm looking at it every day. So yesterday, I wasn't here because I was so doggone tired. When we leave the show today, I'm going to a meeting. I probably won't stay long, but I am going to go and show my face. Those are the things that they say that you should do. And when I say show my face, I'm going to a congressional district meeting. I'm just going to go, hey, and then go on about my business. I have asked people to be my foot soldiers. And so if you want to get, this is a shameless plug, if you want to get a petition from me, you know how to contact me, and have a circle of your friends, 10 people to fill out the petition if they're Wayne County residents. Again, this is Wayne County Probate Court. This is not just Detroit. This is Wayne County. So it encompasses 42 cities in Wayne County. There's 3 seats. There's 3 seats. 3 people have aged out. That's Judge Braxton, David Braxton. That's Judge Keith, Terrence Keith. And there's also Judge Judy Hartsfield. Judy Hartsfield is sitting over at the juvenile court, and you have the other 2 judges that sit in the probate court. So why probate court? Why is she sitting over in juvenile? Because there has to be one judge. Probate court, there's a hybrid. In some counties in the state of Michigan, they group it together with family. And then in some counties, it's grouped together with juvenile. So one judge will be sitting over in the Wayne County Juvenile Court, but you're a probate judge. And then the other 2 judges will be sitting in the Wayne County Probate Court. I want to sit in the Wayne County Probate Court. What determines that is the person who gets the most votes. Okay, so I'm working my behind off as much as I can. I can't be everywhere, but I expect for people who I would like for people. I don't have an expectation. I would like for people who know Vanessa, and people get a chance to know Vanessa on Detroit in Black and White. And there's people who know me in the courtroom. There's people who know me as a board member on different boards. But to just talk about Vanessa Moss, keep my name in your mouth. So that's how it's going.
And please,
I am tired, but
please, Deborah, it is for a position on the Wayne County Probate Court, correct?
That is correct. It's the Wayne County Probate Court. 3, as Alan asked, he asked, how many seats are there? There's 3. I only want to sit in 1. And these are non-incumbent seats. That means I'm not running against anybody. Now, are there other people that's getting in the race? I've heard that, but I shut out the noise. I want to do the best that I can. I don't want to get down and dirty, but unfortunately, with the judgeships, it gets really, really dirty. And I'm a fighter, but I'm not going to fight dirty. I'm going to fight above board.
And so I get the opportunity in this election, being a resident of Trenton, to vote for Vanessa Moss, and I'm proud of that opportunity this time.
And I'm excited about it. So we have to have at least 4,000 registered voters to sign the petition. And it is an uphill battle because you want to turn in more than 4,000 signatures because some signatures are going to be canceled out. People sign and they know that they're not registered voters, whatever the case may be. So I'm out here hitting the pavement, but I can't do it by myself. I have to have a team. So I have some people going out there now. But the weather has been so doggone funky. It's unreal, And really, you know what? I know, Alan, you didn't ask for this, but I am going to say this.
Sure.
Running for office is very expensive. Everybody got to hustle. Trust and believe. Everybody has a hustle. So
let me ask you real quick questions.
Yes.
How many signatures do you need? And also, do you hire people? Because I know some people get paid, or what is it? Sometimes $10 a signature. And so how is that working?
Well, I need 4,000 good signatures. So I want to go over. So I want to at least have 7,000 signatures, And I'm asking that my village take some petitions and ask their circle. If you got 10 friends or 20 family members or whatever, to collect signatures. But I also have to have people who are getting the moolah. So actually, I'm working to pay them because it's expensive. And it's not a secret. It's $5 a signature. So for 100 signatures, that's $500.
Okay.
So for 4,000 signatures, guess what it is? $20,000.
Have you gone to like Easter Market on a Saturday? I see people with petitions.
I have not. I haven't gone out because on Saturdays I'm here at the show, and like I said, the weather has been bold, and you only have a certain window to be able to collect signatures. I could start collecting signatures last September or October. So, and people have been very, one, they say the weather is bad, which is true, and two. I was out the other night getting dinner because I don't get home usually until right before the show because y'all remember I'm a professor too. So I was at the store and it was raining the other night, Wednesday, and people were out there, getting signatures. And I asked the guy, I said, "You get paid for this?" He said, "Yes." I said, "How much you making?" He said, $5 a signature. I was like, okay. But people were just walking past, and I'm sure as the weeks heat up, more people will sign and they try to get to know people. But listen, Alan, and I'm gonna ask you this too, Jim. Why is it that people will ask you in a hot second, why I need to sign your petition? I don't know you. But yet they vote for people that they don't know all the time. Why is that?
I usually, if it's a legitimate petition and it's not something, an issue, a proposal that is just totally contrary to my values, I'll try to sign as many petitions as I can to help people out. I think people don't understand really. It's just you putting it. They're not voting for you. It's not an endorsement of you. They're just saying that you should be on the ballot. But I think people don't. I think people see it more as like I'm endorsing this person if I do it, and they say I don't know you. Why should I endorse you? But it's really just about democracy of getting people on the ballot. So.
Great point, Alan. I have a completely different opinion. I don't care if I agree with you or disagree with you. If you're running for office, I'll sign your petition. I give you credit for running for office. And as Alan said, in this democracy, I may never vote for you, but I'll still sign your petition because I think you have the right to run for whatever office you want to.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing, Alan. I will sign a petition, whether I agree with it or not. I'll sign a petition because I believe it should go. If you think it's important enough to be put before the people, then so be it. When you talked about endorsements, Alan, that's also interesting too. You have to pay for endorsements.
Really?
I told you it is.
How does that work?
So what's wrong with this country? It's a monetization of
exactly. So how does it work? So, in the past, I have not been a fan of endorsements because I just don't think that you should have to pay. But I see that when people pay to get endorsements, and I don't want to call people out right now, but you pay $1,500 or $200, what they'll do is they'll put you on their slate. First of all, you got to interview for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sit in your interview, you ask these questions, that you answer these questions, and then they make a decision whether or not they're going to endorse you. And what they do is they put you on their flyers, and they have people to come out to the different precincts to pass out literature with your name on it. I mean, that's what it is. And so some of the things that I wrestle with, I understand that if I want to make a difference, I have to get over that hurdle to get to where I want to be, so I can help people. Listen, I'm 6 in the deuce. I tell people all the time, I'm not ashamed of I'm not one of the women who, and I don't have a problem with it, one of those people, because I have male friends who don't like to tell their age. They dye their hair jet black, mustache jet black, looking crazy. But I don't plan on. I want to impart the wisdom and my experience. And I'm not just talking about my legal experience. I'm talking about my life experience on the bench. Because the one thing that people ask, somebody asked in the chat a couple of weeks ago, are you running as a Democrat? Nonpartisan. Running for a judge is nonpartisan. You can't run as a Democrat. When you fill out the petition, if you put Democrat or Republican, and I know somebody who did that, put Republican, his name couldn't even go on the ballot. Okay. So it's nonpartisan. But a judge is you're supposed to, one, know the law, follow the law. 1 and 2, that goes together. But what goes with it, how we effectuate change, is compassion, empathy, integrity, and life experience. That's what I believe.
Let me also say, just to clarify for people, because when you're talking about endorsements, I mean, if somebody gets the endorsement of Obama or whatever, they don't pay him. If somebody gets the endorsement of certain unions, I'm guessing you don't get paid, but maybe on like certain slates, like
yes,
the black slate, right, whatever, and that money would go for their advertising and all
yes,
that kind of stuff. It's
so
yeah, just
and it's $1 million.
Yeah,
to go to the White House.
And the other question I have is, I'm just curious. You mentioned that you're a public defender. Are you actually working for the public defender's office, or are you?
Yes.
You
yes,
are? Okay.
I am. So I was in private practice from 2000. Before I started practicing, I worked for what is now called Third Circuit Court. I worked at Detroit Recorder's Court. I worked as a judicial assistant, which means I wrote the opinions for the judges. A lot of times people think that the judges write their own opinions. Some do, but a lot of them don't. They have an office where there are people who do that. If you don't hire a clerk, a judicial clerk to answer your to do your opinions, they have an office, and all the courts have an office that write the opinions. So I was one of those people who wrote opinions, and I did that for 3 years. And then I started my own practice, and I started off, this is interesting, I started off doing criminal, because I worked in the criminal court. And one day I had a client, and he talked to me he was so awful. He was so awful. All I remember is one of my mentors tapping me on the shoulder, and he said, "Sis, I've never seen you like this. Don't talk like this." This guy was cursing me out, and guess what? I matched his energy. I'm not bragging about it. I'm ashamed of it. I matched his energy. And that day I said, you know what? If you don't want to follow the law, then guess what? Maybe I shouldn't be doing criminal defense. So I started doing probate and family. Got really, really good at it, and got a reputation, and was taking private cases. And that's what I did. And I was also on the list in Wayne County Probate Court to get appointments. I would get appointments in Wayne County Probate Court. I would get appointments in Oakland County Probate Court. I would do retained work. And when I ran for a public office 10 years ago, people saw me, and somebody gave me a call and said, "Hey, we think you'd be a perfect fit over in juvenile court." So I ended up over in juvenile for, oh my God, maybe 5 or 6 years. And I got really good at that. I mean, I learned juvenile neglect and abuse, as well as delinquency. So delinquency is, committing crimes as a delinquent. And once I became more, and keep in mind, I started moving, after I went to probate, started doing probate and family. I would select what criminal cases I wanted to do. So COVID hit, and they needed, and I say Wayne County had so many criminal cases, they needed attorneys, and all my friends kept calling, Vanessa, come on and get on the list. So for over almost 20 years, I did not take appointments for indigent people in Wayne County. I got back on the list, and I began to enjoy doing criminal work. Why? I had matured, and I could appreciate that there's what they say, and there's something in the middle. Okay. And so I understand that my job is to make sure that the process is adhered to. So this past August, I ended up taking a position with the Neighborhood Defender Services, and that's what I do. I do criminal work in Wayne County, and it's a lot of it. And that's why when you guys see me and I say I'm tired, like some Friday nights I'm not showing up, I just have to rest because I'm doing that. Like today, I'm going to the meeting, but I got to go over to the jail to see a client. So at any rate, that's what I'm doing, Alan, to answer your question. I am a public defender working at the public defender's office, Neighborhood Defender Services.
So Vanessa, Alan, you both have questions out there. Let's not
okay, you can read them. I'm trying to
track our friends here. Ms. Suzuki, 3 sides to every story. Jim for Wayne County Sheriff, thank you. Morel Peter, I'm a tired old guy, but no thank you. Like and share the edutainment. Tamari, great story, Vanessa. Where were we? Like and share. Thank you, Kenneth. Good morning, Marlon. I hope you're okay. I don't know where you're at. You were in Florida. I don't know if you ever made your way back or not yet. We worried about you. Tamari, good morning, Detroit Black and White. Happy Black History Month. Every day, forever. Black history is world history. Thank you. How would you handle the Michigan coach case? Morel Peter is asking you, Vanessa.
I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't kept up with the Michigan coach case. I will say last night, I did see on the news, as an advocate, you have to do your job. So listen, there was some important information that was missing when it was a call made to the police about the coach, going to the lady's house or whatever the case may be. I think that the judge, again, this is an example. Know the law, follow the law. You have the opportunity to be heard. That's what the judge said last night. I thought the defense attorney did an awesome job. Now, what the end is going to be, I don't know. I will say that in some cases, we can all predict what's likely to happen based upon the information that we're given. But we also know that there is a legal process, which brings me to this. Let me say this, Alan. I've had people say to me, and I'm sure people said this to you as well as Jim, well, what about the Constitution? The Constitution is not being adhered to. Yes, it is. We just don't listen, every president in these United States has challenged the United States Constitution.
Absolutely.
Everyone has pushed the envelope. People just don't like the person that's pushing the envelope. And an example of the Constitution at work is what happened yesterday. The Constitution outlines what the Congress role is, what the role of the court is, and what the role of the president is. And guess what? And people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth.
Great example yesterday.
And the other thing, that's an example. Another thing is that I encourage people to understand that I know sometimes, Alan, you get some pushback about guns. I don't own a gun. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I don't own a gun. And I don't support gun violence at all, period. But at the time that the Constitution was written, we didn't have Glocks. So when we say that what applied then doesn't apply now, listen, words and society has changed from 1950 to 2025. Okay. Um, Something that I do think is important is this, is that when people are voting, when you're casting your vote, you guys need to get to know the individual, what they stand for. Don't stand on the corner and ask them and expect for them, because they're going to give you, canned information, right? Go on there. Now everything is public. Go on their Facebook page. Go and Google them, LinkedIn. And guess what? What you're going to find is this. There's going to be some wonderful things about the person, but I bet you a dime to a dollar, there's going to be somebody who's like, I can't stand Vanessa Boss because she blah, 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 blah. And what you're going to say is this. Yeah, she did. We don't see her clock off on Detroit in black and white. Well, what did you do to provoke her? But more importantly, she's human just like everybody else.
I would say, yesterday was great. The Supreme Court, I was kind of shocked, to be honest.
Okay.
They did the right thing, and the vote was 6-3. I mean, when we see, I immediately, at 6-3, I could guess automatically who the 2 out of the 3 were. It was going to be Alito and Thomas, who are, I think, totally intellectually dishonest. And the third one happened to be Kavanaugh, which I thought maybe it would be Gorsuch. I was a little surprised there. But that being said, I mean, it's great. They upheld the law. The law is just so clear on that. And, Trump is, there have been judges who have criticized the Supreme Court. Obama criticized the Supreme Court for the voting, trying to limit donations, private donations and stuff like that. But I granted, presidents sometimes press, unconstitutional, and they get slapped on that. But regardless, I mean, what we're seeing, aside from the Constitution, a lot of these are policies or whatever. What we're seeing in the Justice Department, what we're seeing in the FBI, I mean, what we're seeing in the U.S. Attorney's Office, I think, is so laughable with Jeanine Pirro from Fox News, who is now, Trump's stooge in D.C. She tried to indict Alyssa Slotkin and 5 other members of Congress because, I mean, you can debate whether they should have said this publicly or not, but what they said was they're telling people, particularly in the military, you don't have to obey an illegal act, order. And granted, some people say, well, they shouldn't do that, whatever, but they're certainly entitled. But so Jeanine Pirro goes to a grand jury, or one of her people goes to a grand jury and tries to indict them on like sedition and the grand jury is like, what are you talking about? They said, don't break the law. We're going to indict them for saying publicly something, which is, first of all, protected by the First Amendment, their speech on that. And that's not just an exception. That's what's happening, the vendettas that are going on here. And has the Justice Department ever been political? Of course it has. Has the FBI? Look, agents have opinions. And what we're seeing more now in recent times is that agents' opinions sometimes show up on texts and emails. And that's why we saw, previously some of the FBI agents who came out, criticizing Trump. But I think it's not normal what's going on. Granted, like I say, Obama, Biden, everybody's been slapped for trying to do things that have been challenged on the constitutional basis. And it's great we have a constitution, but in this case, the justice system is failing at the moment. We're seeing, scores and scores of prosecutors who have left. Eric Adams, the case in New York City where they indicted him on corruption. You had scores of prosecutors quit who said, we're not going to file a dismissal based on this. And one of them said, when they resigned, they said, you'll have to find someone who's stupid enough to do this, but I'm not going to be the one. So we're seeing it's great, the integrity of that, but what we're being left with, and certainly there are a lot of great prosecutors left, but what we're also seeing are some stooges who are going to be willing to do whatever, like Jeanine Pirro, who comes from Fox News. And, we all have our opinions and stuff, but our jobs are also to try to be, when we're put in a position, such a highly responsible position like that, we have to set aside our, our opinions for that.
Well, we have someone that's joining us, but we have not taken a break. So we're going to take a break. I got to run and plug up my my computer. So we're going to go to a break, and we'll be back in Detroit Black and White, and we'll have Les Little, who has joined us.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. We've been joined in the chat. I think Jim will probably read some of the chat, but we're going to give a shout out to Les Little, who has joined us in Detroit Black and White. Hey, Les, what's going on?
Good morning, Vanessa, Jim, and Alan. How y'all doing today?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good. Good. Are you, Jim, going to read those comments, or you want me to wait?
Yeah, I can go through them real quick. First off, I want to recognize Miss Sheila from last night. Miss Sheila, I apologize to you. You wanted to recognize Chester Logan, 45-year police veteran who took over under Dave Bing as an interim police chief. I don't think he was a permanent police chief, but thank you for those comments last night, Miss Sheila. If you're out there, we appreciate it. Kenneth misses the McShane's days as we do. Marlon, no, that's us. Deadline Detroit. Is that you, Vanessa, talking to Marlon?
Yep.
Stephanie Jackson says no refunds. Other tax statutes that authorize the tariffs stopped wars and protected American interests. Thank you, Stephanie, for your comments. I was once told by Coleman Young Tamari Jr. that he didn't help me get home repairs because I criticized him in the city council. So apparently freedom of speech is arbitrary. Tamari, that's a great point. You know, these politicians are so thin-skinned that if you're not 100% in, you know, I've had, I can say Deborah Dingle, you can disagree with her, you can be on the other party, and she will listen to you. So that's my congressperson. But the majority of them, the way politics are today, their biases show through every day, and you're not going to change them. There'll be no property taxes on primary homes, Marlin in Florida. Terry McCrimmon, Kathy, Zach Schatz had made a point. Vote for a clown, you get Barnum and Bailey, JR. Kathy, again, says, can't agree with you on that one. I think it was political incitement. I believe she's talking about the six, whether they're patriots or traitors. You can make your own decision. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're patriots for doing what they did. I think it was outrageous. They did what they did for a reason. I know what they did. And it was disgraceful, in my opinion, that politicians had to step up and tell people what they need to do, because oftentimes on the left, if they can't totally control you, they have no use for you.
You know what? You know what else? Can I?
I'm not done with it. Let me finish the comments, Alan. I haven't had an opportunity to talk today. And I just want to talk to our viewers. If I don't get my own opinion out there, I'd like to get theirs out there if I could. They're causing division in the military, which helps regulate, which equates to harm to the American citizens. That's Stephanie's opinion. Thank you, Stephanie. They should be indicted. We should be happy that America is not taken advantage of by foreign countries, hate Trump or not. Great move by Ellen Michaels with that Frank's hearing motion regarding the Sharon Moore case. I was shocked too, Alan. It will be interesting to see how these refunds go. The vote should have been 9-0. Thank you, Jay. The 3 dissenting judges proved to be hypocrites based on their past rulings. Thank you, Jay. I agree with that. Don't celebrate, just selected the wrong statute. That's right. The World Supreme Court just shook up MAGA World. And Tamari, thank you for that, but I'm not sure what you mean by MAGA World. I think the ego of the man in charge in the White House was shook up, and that's unfortunate. Miss Moss, get grown up, you go, girl. Certain PACs, upon endorsement, will put you on their literature and circulate in the community and have poll workers distribute the literature on election day. And that's correct. Thank you, Kenneth. Great story, Vanessa. 3 sides to every story, etc. Okay, thank you, everybody, for your comments. Go ahead, Alan.
And then Alan, let Les talk because he joined us. Go ahead, Alan.
All right, let me just real quickly, and then we'll get to you. First of all, the incitement thing. I think the comments by the 6 Congress members was really addressing the higher ups and at least encouraging them to push back on illegal acts that Trump has tried to pull off. And then when we talk about incitement, when Kathy mentions incitement, I'm sure she's not thinking about January 6th, where Trump did everything to incite a riot that day. That's true incitement there. And I'm sure she thinks that it was okay. That's my guess.
No, Alan, not everybody believes everything that the Democrats believe or everything that the Republicans believe. There's a lot of people that are watching this show. There's a lot of people in this country that believe 55% or 45% of an individual. What happened yesterday, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. You should agree with what the Supreme Court did. You can say it should have been 9-0. It wasn't 9-0. But there are people on the left and there are people on the right that agree with the Supreme Court's decision, as Vanessa described.
But
Jim, one way or another way. That's not how this country works.
I agree with the decision, and people can dissent on it. But what we're seeing, when I can guess without even looking, that 2 people like Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito are going to vote against it just because it's going to be for Trump. They're going to vote for Trump. To me, that's not obeying the law. That's not following the law. That's following politics. That I can guess automatically. We have other Republican appointed people, Amy Coney Barrett, Gorsuch, who voted along with the majority, and John Roberts, who are, Republican appointees. So, I give them credit for they vote both ways, and I'm cool with that. But when Alito and Thomas, they're just totally intellectually dishonest. I think they should not be on the bench.
But are you okay when the liberal judges are dishonest and vote by their biases? Does that bother you at all? Because it would bother me if they did it in any example, not just the left, not just the right.
I've seen the Democratic appointed people vote with the Republican majority. So
you've never seen them vote with using their biases. The Democratic appointed.
So we have a guest sitting here, and he's sitting here patiently. Les, contribute to the conversation, and then I'm gonna jump back in there too with Jim, you.
Well, Vanessa, I'm a fan of y'all show because I'm just, like I said, I love y'all. I've been watching y'all for some time now. But today, February 21st, is the day Malcolm X was assassinated in 1965. And I played a clip on my show of an interview of him in 63. And he said that if you're a Black person, you should be insane for following the Constitution. Okay, because the Constitution, they always bring up this clause, which I think is ridiculous. And is that 3/5 of a human being, which is scientifically, is not right. So to me, we have a whole lot of folks in our country that don't believe, and I talk about it's 2 countries to me. It's African America, then it's States United, okay? And in African America, it's a whole lot of folks in African America that don't believe in the Constitution because it says it don't work for them. But you got this Constitution was a form that was developed hundreds of years ago. It just evolved to this day. And it's always a document evolving, and we should, as human beings, help it evolve in a way that the future generation will benefit. That's all. and getting people to represent us that have a moral conscience would be beneficial to us going forward to the 22nd century. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thanks, Les. So, look, I forgot what we were going back and forth about, but I will say this, that I have never, ever, 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 and I've been practicing law since 2002. I've been in the legal community since 1999. I have never had anybody ask me when I've represented them for criminal defense, juvenile neglect and abuse or delinquency, probate, or family. Are you a Democrat or a Republican? They want you to represent them and do the best job that you can. I have never had a judge tell me that somebody has stood before them and said, Judge, are you a Republican or a Democrat? They don't do that. The judges are supposed to follow the law. Now, let me get into the meat of things. Does it make a difference? Yes, because what people will do is they will say, I know that when I go before certain people, I know whether or not, because I've been practicing, I can tell you they're pretty conservative and they're more likely to lean this way, but I can't tell you to 100 degree of certainty that that's what they're going to do. You want people who are, I would think, we want our leaders to be people who are fair, because everything that you do, I don't care who you are. My mother, everything she did was not right, but guess what? I love my mama. And guess what? If your mama and your daddy can correct you, why can't I correct you or address you if you are a person that we hired to represent us? I get sick and tired of people thinking that they are above and beyond reproach. You can't question me. Yes, we can, because you work for us. And I think a lot of people forget that. What do you think about that, Alan?
Well, look, I mean, the courts are supposed to be unbiased, right? I mean, politics should not play a role, but I think we do know that some lawyers donate to certain judges and probably get a little bit more of a favorable treatment. Is that fair to say? Or somebody's helping work on somebody's campaign and gets a little bit of a more favorable? They shouldn't. But
I will say, in my years, I haven't experienced that. I will say that they're more favorable in that they may smile at you and smack you down, but in a very nice, respectful way.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean, that's my experience. I can't speak for somebody else's experience. Okay. But that's been my experience. So, I don't know. I know that we need to have people. If you are the state rep, the Senate, Congress, listen. You need to have integrity. And you know what? You may be a Democratic congressperson of the 13th district, but you have Republicans that live in the 13th district. So you work for everybody.
Right.
And you need to listen to everybody.
Right.
Period.
I agree with that. I think though, when we run, or people who run on certain platforms, whether pro-abortion, anti-abortion, whatever, and they can listen to their constituents, but they're going to vote ultimately their conscience on something like that. Then we have, and in fact, I'll bring it up real quickly, is that the Detroit News has a big story today, their top story about Matthew Maroon, owner of the Ambassador Bridge, who they say gave $1 million to a MAGA Trump fund just, weeks before Trump suddenly came out with this like rambling Truth Social thing. That's some of the stuff is, a lot of the stuff in the rambling is not true. And he doesn't understand the deal. I mean, some people will have disputed whether it's a great deal, but for a lot of people, the state of Michigan did not want to pay for the bridge, the Gordie Howe Bridge. Canada said, we'll pay for it all, but we want to get the money recouped through tolls. So I don't know, it's $4.6 billion or something like that. It could be a lifetime before they get back, all that money in tolls. But nonetheless, But then when that's done, Michigan owns half the bridge, and Michigan will get half the revenues from that. And he's trying to renegotiate, which he had a habit of doing in New York City. If you talk to people who are in the commercial real estate business, is that he would make deals and then he'd try to renegotiate as they were finishing up projects and saying, no, I'm not going to pay this, or screw you. It's not how it works. I mean, we work on the honor system here, once, particularly legally on the honor system, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry.
What do you think, Jim?
I'm sorry, I was sidetracked. I was reading Dorian's comments. It was
Okay,
nice to have you on, Dorian. Parity of the integrity. Parity of integrity is when a position of power is rare. Every human being has bias of some sort, and that's absolutely right, Dorian. We need term limits. Larry Barnett, 23. These justices are out of control, all of them. Not one, not two. Many of them have their biases, including the latest Supreme Court justice who couldn't identify what a woman was. Is your moral compass is based on a political party, then you probably one of the smartest comments I've seen in ages. If your moral compass is based on a political party, then you don't have one. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Kashmir Monroe, good to see you this morning. Where have you been? Vanessa, I love your spirit of fairness. Timothy, Trump is ready to move those. I can't see that. SCOT. I'm not sure what he means by that. Supreme Court. SCO and then a T. You guys know what he's talking about there?
Supreme Court, maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
To solar panels and wind turbines. I need my glasses here.
I'm trying to look cute today. I don't put my readers
More
on.
money. Come on, Kenneth. Malcolm X said you're trying to appeal to a man's moral conscience when he neither has moral nor conscience. Ain't that right, Les? Tamari's asking that question of you, Les. You're trying to appeal to this man's moral conscience when he neither has moral nor conscience. I think she's probably talking about the president.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, well, it could be. I took an oath to the Constitution. I know Jim did. I don't know, Vanessa, you work in the
Yeah, I had
law.
to
You
when
picked
I
it.
was sworn in.
I
as a
don't know,
lawyer.
Alan, did you when you worked for the paper, did you take an oath to the Constitution?
No, but
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm talking about. When you take an oath to the Constitution, does it really mean something to you? Does that oath? It meant something to me when I took that oath to the Constitution, and it's supposed to mean something to the people we hire when we vote. We hire them to represent us, and when you just dismiss the Constitution that you took an oath to, then it should be a great problem with everybody here in this country. But it seems like they're just overlooked. That these guys break their constitutional commitment to serve the people. So
Marlon makes a comment about the ICE or the Border Patrol agents and the Detroit police. I don't want to get into all that, but I guess my question to the three of you and to all our friends out there is, why is politics? Why are politics making all these decisions? When you talk about the 6 people that stood up and said, you don't have to, Les, obey an order that violates the Constitution. Not only military, but police officers and many people in government roles are taught that the first day that they take a job, and they understand that. And I don't think I needed to be reminded of that when I was a police officer from some senator from wherever, all right? But the point of the matter is, it is the politicians that are performative that are doing these issues, instead of assuming that the colonels and the generals and the admirals know what their responsibility is and know what their duty is. For a politician to stand up and have to tell them what they need to do, to me, is insulting.
Well, it's insulting, but it's unfortunate that, you're always going to find somebody who's going to carry out an illegal order. Somebody may quit, and the next person below will say, I want my job. I'm going to move up. I mean, the idea that National Guard were sent to different states without the governor's request, which is how it's supposed to work, and eventually the courts ruled against it.
And we have a remedy. The courts was the remedy under the United States Constitution.
But sometimes, at minimum, the person at the top has to push back and say, Mr. President, I'm sorry that's illegal. This is an illegal use of our troops. And if he says, go screw yourself, do what I say, then the person can say, I quit, or at least show a protest against it. But if you just carry out the orders, I think that's what.
Well, your argument is they need to be reminded that
Well,
the people need to be reminded of these orders, that the generals and the admirals and the police chiefs are too dumb to know what the responsibilities are. That they need some congressperson from Arizona to tell senator from Arizona to tell them this.
Well, in some
That's
cases,
kind of insulting to a person that went to college and became a police chief. You don't know what you don't know what your responsibility is.
But it's also
that's outrageous.
It's insulting that people carry out the illegal orders as well.
Well, that's correct, though. When you have a commitment to the Constitution, that should be your first main duty to protect. I played a clip of Dr. Sweet when he was protecting his home back in this city here, when the police was standing there watching these lawbreakers break the law to attack Dr. Sweet's home. And they didn't do anything. But that's indicative of a lot of actions or non-actions of the police officers in African America. They have just stood back and watched lawless order go out and do nothing to uphold their constitutional.
And that's a bigger issue, Les. I appreciate your point on that. I really do.
So you know what? I'm going to share a story. I'm going to veer off a little bit about how you're supposed to, as a public servant, you're supposed to follow the law and do your job. And I know Alan has faced some issues, some similar issue, and you as well, Jim, and probably you, Les. I had a probate matter, and I was the guardian ad litem. Guardian ad litem goes out, you investigate, you make a recommendation. Went, visit this guy, and actually, I had two cases, one in Oakland County and one in Wayne, but I'm talking about the one in Wayne County. And this guy had this evil, to me, she was an evil sister, right? She didn't like that I was coming around, getting information so I could give, the court the information, make a recommendation. I'm going to say it. He called me a nigger. Okay? She called me a nigger, right? And I knew, there's a moral to the story. I knew that I still had to do my job. So I did my job. And people say, Vanessa, I wouldn't have stood for that. I was appointed to do a job, right? And I know that you're doing this to really antagonize me, to prevent me from doing what I'm supposed to do. I did my job. I represented him. And at the end of the day, you know what happened? That individual came back and said, you know what, Miss Moss, I respect you. I am sorry for what I did. I should not have done that. I did not mean that. My sister was ragging me. That man for years would send flowers to my office every year for representing him. The point is this. I get so sick and tired of people using us, less Black folks, to listen. There's been racists ever since I've been on this earth, and I've been here 6 in the deuce. Guess what? If you're a racist, if you guys believe that the guy that's in the White House is a racist, first of all, he ain't the first one, and he ain't gonna be the last. Okay. I may sit on a bench with people that are that way, but at the end of the day, you have to do your job. You have to follow the Constitution. You have to.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And everybody's interpretation is different because everybody comes from a different place. But I encourage you guys, those who forgot civics, I encourage you guys to do a refresher's course. We could do it easily, right? And you can also do constitutional law. You know how things change? It's based on case law. That's how that guy was able to get some relief. The coach was able to get some relief in court yesterday. It was based on case law. She used case law, a case that came out, and she used that as her basis to get a hearing. That is where you promote change. And it's not going to happen overnight. I may not see some of the changes that we want. I may not live to see it, but I believe that change is going to come. It may not be in our lifetime, but it's going to come.
Thank you, Tamari. I know what your statement was on Malcolm X. I thought you were referring to the president. I know what you were talking about. Thank
Okay,
you.
Alan,
Uh,
go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I want to say, I mean, when you talk about outrageous about things, I mean, there are so many things this administration has done. One, when they ordered the removal of the slavery exhibit in Philadelphia at the Independence Mall in Philadelphia, and a federal judge ruled they needed to put it back, but they took it down, and the Trump administration said it doesn't like sort of jive with our narrative of America. And you know, I think we have periods in, you know, different countries. Look, there are Holocaust museums for, you know, what happened in Germany. The slavery exhibits are, it's a reminder that we need to educate people so we don't go back in time and emulate some of the horrible times. And when this administration has removed that, and thankfully a judge put it back in, I just think I just find it outrageous. But
You know what?
Thanks, Mike Bunch, for his comments about
Right. But you
ICE.
know what, Alan? There
Yeah.
are some people, there may be some people who join us on Detroit Black and White. There are some people, listen, you are right to be outraged that how dare you try to erase history. But there are people that are angry, and I don't think people have really talked about this, that previously history was erased. They removed all the Confederate flags and all the statues of people who fought in the in the Confederacy, who stood for Confederacy. And I'm not saying people should not be vilified. What I'm saying is it's the history of this country. So, you know, are we gonna have it both ways or we're not?
Well,
But
we
it
do
should
have
be
a-
on public property. But these were traitors to the
I'm
Constitution.
not saying that they're not, but it's the history of the country.
Then be in the museum, but not in front of our faces. In the museum, go see it in the museum.
Okay,
It shouldn't be locked up in town square.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying there are people who feel like you have erased that history. It's ugly history. Slavery is ugly history. In Alan's case, Holocaust is ugly history. Guess what? The Confederacy was also ugly history, but it is the history of these United States. I'm one of those people who say, you know what? I never paid attention to them in the first, second, or third place, because guess what? I'm living my best life, and I'm going to continue to work for people in my city as long as I live, and it doesn't matter to me. But there are people who are very passionate and passionate about that. So,
Well, the history is not being reported, Vanessa. We know that 20 people in 1619, 20 human beings in Angola were brought to this country against their will and put into slavery, traded for supplies in Jamestown, Virginia, which is now Jamestown, Virginia. And we know in 1860 that there were 4 million people, 4 million, 90% of the Black folks in this country were enslaved. And the Constitution didn't really, they didn't have a Constitution, right? There was no Constitution for Black people in 1860. So we can talk about the injustices, and we should. You know, people were enslaved in this country longer than they weren't enslaved in this country. And that's perhaps obviously the biggest stain that we've ever had in this country, the biggest injustice. But we still have injustice, right? This has not been resolved. This issue has not been resolved. And now we're talking, who's going to pick our strawberries? Is that the same people that 150 years ago was saying, who's going to pick our cotton? Who's going to pick our strawberries if we don't exploit these people from Mexico and Central America? What's the resolution? The resolution isn't exploiting these people for the next 200 years. The resolution is to give them a path to citizenship, all right? The resolution is to give them a living wage, not to exploit them like we've been doing in this country for 500 years.
yep. And with that, I think we're coming close. I do want to do I want to answer a question. I do want to do my Black History Month, and then we'll go all around the board. Ms. Suzuki asked that, and I'm going to put it out there, when I'm elected as the Wayne County probate judge, will I be able to continue to contribute on Detroit Black and White? I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so that these creators, Alan, Jim, and Adolph, will be able to create a space for me where I would do my job and continue to do my job. I can't talk about the cases or anything like that. And because it's nonpartisan, I'm not supposed to talk politics, but maybe we can carve out a creative portion of the show where I can still appear and continue to contribute. I want to give honor to Fannie M. Richards. She was born in 1840. She transitioned in 1922. She is recognized as the first Black female teacher in Detroit, Michigan. She was hired in 1868 to teach at Colored School Number 2. She was a prominent educator who successfully fought for the desegregation of Detroit schools and established the city's first kindergarten class. She trained at the Toronto Normal School and studied in Germany to learn kindergarten techniques. Before her public school appointment in 1868, she founded a private school for Black children in Detroit in 1863. And her impact was she was a pioneering figure in advocating against school segregation, with her efforts leading to a Michigan Supreme Court ruling that abolished separate schools for Black and white students in 1871. Don't tell me what the court can't do. And so those are that's my Black History Month moment. We'll go around the board and give your final thoughts.
I'll say this. When we talk, we're in a democracy, we have a constitution, but one of the things that, what came out after World War II was that a lot of Germans who were participating in the extermination of really more than 6 million Jews, really 12 million people, were saying their defense was, I was just following orders. And so sometimes we have to be reminded that we don't, and we can argue over what the 6 Congress members said, whether that was appropriate for them or whatever. But I think sometimes people have to be reminded that just following orders sometimes just doesn't do it. We see officers in prison right now because they were just following orders, they were just going along or whatever. So I just want to say that. So
okay,
great point. Marlon Holt says, if you don't stand for America, what country do you stand for? Marlon, if that's directed at me, I stand for America, but America needs to stand for everybody that's here too.
Okay. Do you have any parting words, Les?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I want to thank you for including me into the conversation today. And this Black Recognition Month is always special to me because it includes white people too. Okay. Because I played John Brown, so we had Black and white. It's never been a color thing in African America, but it's always been a color thing in States United. And we need to call folks out when they are misbehaving. Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Suzuki recognizes Catherine Blackwell. I don't want to ignore. Thank you for that.
And Les, real briefly, tell our people about. Les has a show. Tell about a show, and then we go to Jim, and then we're gonna leave.
Oh yeah, I have a show that airs twice a week. Today, Saturday, 7 to 9, early edition. The Vote is Our Voice internet radio show, and Tuesday, 10 to noon on 9:53 a.m. Talk. The Vote. I know that's a handful, but it's still something I've said. The vote is the most powerful thing that every American has to equalize the big business and big money.
All right, and Jim,
I just want to say thank you for everybody that made their comments. We can agree, we can disagree, we can agree to disagree. You're entitled, and this show would not exist without you. I'm grateful for your participation and everybody else's. And Les, thank you for joining us.
Yep, thank you, and thank you, Alan. I didn't know I was going to be interviewed today. That was off the cuff. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. You guys have a wonderful Saturday. Take care. We love you all. Bye.